Hi, Tunian. Hi, Nicole.
Hello, John.
Hi, John.
Hello to our beautiful community. So people are joining in. So we'll give it 59 seconds. As usual, we have this little bit of house rule. Just head over to the chat session. Let us know where you are joining us from. So we do the usual to engage with our audience and make sure that we have people in the room that we are aware of. Head over to the chat. Just let us know where you're joining us from. I'm in Kigali, Rwanda. Nicole, where are you from?
I am currently in Cape Town in South Africa.
Tunian.
I'm in Germany at the moment. It's sunny and windy here. A little cold though.
We have Vietnam. Nice. Norway. We'll give it 59 seconds and we jump straight into this. Scotland. We have Chad. Oh, Africa. Ethiopia. Denmark. Sweden. All right, I think we have a full house and we'll get started with this webinar. Wherever you are, I want to say a pleasant welcome to this webinar on strengthening proposal writing, funding pipelines, program, and performance. I'm joined by my two of my colleagues, Nicole and Tony, which they will obviously introduce themselves later on this presentation. Tony, would you like to go next, please? So a quick run through over the agenda. We'll talk about introduction, basically the speaker introduction. FOMO moment. You might be wondering what is FOMO. We're going to explain that in the detail in this presentation. We have AI adoptions, followed by introducing Grand Wire, what we've been working on, and then we have AI proposal writing. We have MZN, AI proposal writing course, which my colleague Nicole will explain more. The last part is the interactive Q&A. And then next, please. Okay, for those of you who've been with us, you already know who we are. And for the first people that just joined us, this is MZN. We simply build better non-profit organizations. And for some of the people in the room, we have partnered with over 500 organizations, and we have established ourselves in 40 plus countries, and we have 15 years of experience. With that being said, Tony, I'll turn this webinar session over to you for a short introduction, then to Nicole, and we'll get started.
Okay. Thank you, John. I think we have a questionnaire or a short pop-up quiz for the attendees.
Yeah, the pool is live.
Thank you. So while everyone is completing the poll, I'll just jump into the presentation very briefly. All right, so Chris was supposed to be here, but he was unable to join, so that's why I'm here and his name is on the slide. However, when we speak of the AI opportunity, NGOs, and how NGOs are using AI, we see it as kind of a FOMO moment. FOMO here means fear of missing out. And what we've seen is that a lot of NGOs are using AI because AI is a very hot topic. It's, dominating a lot of conversations, and the efficiency benefits are, well known, but are NGOs using it effectively? That's what we will be talking about in this first set of slides. All right, so we recently saw a report from the 2026 Nonprofit AI Adoption report that said that 92% of nonprofits already have some AI capacity. A lot of NGOs are using it, as I mentioned before, but only about 7% see any major strategic impact. The main issue that we see is kind of an efficiency plateau, which means that NGOs are using it, some better than others. And the gap there is that a lot of NGOs are using it for ad hoc tasks. So whether it's, drafting reports, drafting proposals, or any, tasks that are not streamlined across the organization. It's just being done here and there. The difference between the 92% and the 7% is that the 7% is implementing AI across the length and breadth of the organization, meaning that they connect it to their mission and values. They usually have kind of like a centralized document to work from on how AI is supposed to be used across the organization. And they focus more on implementing rules and regulations, especially at the governance level of how AI is supposed to be used across the organization. So you see here that only 4% have documented and repeatable AI workflows, and that's 4% of NGOs. And this means that, instead of focusing on ad hoc tasks, it's to implement artificial intelligence in a way that it automizes repeatable tasks. So it would take a lot of the, stress and strain on, key teams within an NGO, and to kind of set it in such a way that, teams can build on and iterate from, the documents and resources that are already there, which are already, built from artificial intelligence. So moving on to the next slide. All right, so here what we'd like to drive home is that, as you could expect, larger NGOs are adopting artificial intelligence at a higher rate versus smaller organizations. And this is because they have the resources and the teams and the governance level, rules and regulations to put this in place. But as you can see, an increasing number of, donors and, department leaders, team leaders are saying AI is very important to demonstrate both effectiveness and efficiency to prospective funders, and also, as I mentioned before, to streamline certain repeatable tasks. Nonprofits believe AI will reduce workload and improve communications, but as I mentioned before, how it's being implemented across a lot of NGOs and other organizations is that it's more focused on, helping individual tasks instead of streamlining across an organization. But if artificial intelligence is implemented in such a way that it targets, improving tasks and skills and approaches at an organizational level, you will see a drastic improvement in, the quality of work, engaging with donors, building up your outreach, and a variety of other things. So it's just about streamlining, focusing on how to implement artificial intelligence across the organization, having a centralized document to work from that outlines rules, responsibilities, includes human oversight, the required tools that you're supposed to use for AI, and, just have a set of regulations from which you should work from. All right. So here we have kind of like a brief synopsis of how AI, affects your proposal writing, capabilities and the overall efficiency. So you know that before it would be quite a bit of time spent on, creating proposals, engaging with donors, and, writing and submitting, navigating platforms, etc. But with AI, there is an increased possibility to ensure that your proposal writing is as efficient as possible. You can use AI to start drafting the proposal. You could also use it to review based on an upload with the TOR to make sure there are any gaps. And more NGOs who are using AI to draft or finish their proposal are doing so in less than a week. And there has also been a 30% reduction in the overall proposal effort. So you're able to get out a lot more proposals. And you can see here that there is one large INGO, the American Cancer Society, that's seen a 400% conversion, donation conversion uplift using AI. So AI would allow you to streamline how you go about creating the proposal and also enable you to cast a wider net because you're able to complete them in a shorter time than doing it manually. So that's one benefit that should also be considered. Okay, so on this slide, I won't belabor too much some of the points. We already know that, overall grant-based funding is shrinking. Donors are slashing budgets, or institutional donors are also looking more internally with their funding. We already talked about how, AI shortens the proposal writing time, donor engagement time. And we also touched on the fact that, an increasing amount of donors are looking for organizations who are able to showcase their agility and their contemporariness by using the technologies that are available. So we would like to leave you with this point. It's not whether to adopt AI, it's how fast and how effectively you can build the systems to make it count. And when we say make it count, we mean to demonstrate and to support your organization to put its best foot forward. Okay. All right. So the next set of slides will take you through a platform that we are launching very soon called GrantWire. And GrantWire was basically developed because we understand the complexities in finding funding opportunities, finding the right funding opportunities, applying for them, and, just navigating this new complex funding landscape that we've had since last year. One point that I would like to clarify here is that you will see in the subsequent slides, mentions of NGOs. And while that is our main target audience, GrantWire is not just for NGOs. It's for any purpose-driven organization who is investing in doing good for the world. So whether it's an NGO, nonprofit, social impact organization, or even for-profit organizations who are investing in doing good for the world. So we just wanted to simplify the process of finding funding opportunities and make things a little bit easier on everyone. All right, so basically what we wanted to do, as I mentioned before, is to cut down the amount of time it would take to find funding opportunities. At MZN, we've had firsthand experience with how complex it is to find good funding opportunities, relevant funding opportunities since last year. We recognize that a lot of other organizations are experiencing the same. They would send applications to donors where priorities don't match, or, you'd miss deadlines because it would be so cumbersome to get everything prepared because you spend so much time trying to find the opportunity. And what we decided to do was build an platform based on artificial intelligence that would curate opportunities for you. So we would ask about, the main characteristics of your organization. So your countries of focus, thematic areas, target groups, budget preferences, if there are any donors that you prefer to work with or those that you don't. And we wanted to make things as simple and concise as possible. And we wanted to reduce the amount of time it would take to find the funding opportunities. There is a link below. I will take you to the webpage for my personal GrantWire account at the end of this slide session. All right, so how does GrantWire work? So basically what we'd like to do, or what we aim to do, was to get an automated bot that would take in information about your organization. There's an onboarding process. It takes around 10 minutes, and it goes through, the characteristics of your organization that I mentioned before. Once that is completed, it would take you to a profile page, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. That shows you a variety of different opportunities that would fit based on what you put in during the onboarding session. And then you are free to, apply to opportunities. You'd have all the information there to know the deadlines, the eligibility, et cetera, et cetera. So it just cuts down the amount of time it would take to find the funding opportunities. And while GrantWire is built for, or we had in mind when we were building it, small and mid-sized NGOs who, wouldn't have the skills and the resources or the time to devote to scouring the funding databases for funding opportunities. GrantWire is open for everyone. Any organization size, any type of organization, as I mentioned before. And it's free, most of all. It's a free site. You log on, sign up. It's free, and it will stay so forever. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen right now and then take you to what the GrantWire platform looks like. Okay. 1 sec. Okay, you see my screen, right, Nicole and John?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
we do.
awesome. All right, so this is what the GrantWire platform looks like. This is where you would find information on what it is, some early feedback that we've gotten because we've done some early beta testing, and a quick overview of how it works. You can sign up now for free. One thing I forgot to mention is that you have to sign up with a corporate email address. So you cannot sign up with Gmail or Outlook or any of those free email domains. It has to be a corporate email address. So let me take you to what my page looks like. All right, so this is a quick sneak peek of what your, profile would look like if you signed up and, completed the onboarding process. So you'd be able to save grants if those, intrigue you or you would like to keep them stashed away for another time. You can search by keywords, and these are the opportunities that you would see based on the responses in your onboarding process. We have, an internal system that outlines, what kind of match it would be, if it would be a great match, medium match, or not aligned. And up here, you would be able to amend all the things that you placed or you inputted during your onboarding process. So if you put something and then it's not, really giving you what you are looking for, you can always come to refine my profile and, amend things as you see fit. All right, so that's GrantWire. I will go back to the presentation right now. One second. Okay, here we go. All right, so I think it's your turn now, Nicole.
Thanks, Tanya-Ann, for taking us through that. Hi, everyone. So nice to be here today. My name's Nicole. I'm the Training Manager and Quality Assurance Manager at MZN International. John, maybe before we dive into this section, do we have results from our poll that you could perhaps share with us?
Absolutely, yes, Nicole. We have results. The question says, how frequently do you use AI tools in your proposal writing? We have frequently 39%. So that means that the community already use AI on an everyday basis. We have sometimes, which is 33% of the audience. And we have rarely, which is 21%. And we have never used AI in proposal writing. We have just only 6%. So that's it. You, Nicole, over to you.
Thanks, John. And Tanya, if you can go to the next slide, please. So the stats are really interesting to see because it seems like most here have adopted the use of AI in their workflows, which is brilliant. because Tony-Ann obviously shared with us some really interesting stats on the importance of adopting in terms of time savings. And what I'd really like to talk a little bit about in this section is where AI actually wins in proposal writing. So we've run a few training courses over the years in proposal writing, specifically for NGOs. And what we've seen shift with the use of AI more recently are these key 6 stages and how best to use AI in these stages. So opportunity discovery, as Tony-Ann very succinctly showed us Grantwire and the fact that we've built a system that can help you to discover these opportunities quickly, efficiently, targeted for you, and I think most importantly, free, which is really, really exciting. So, it's a huge amount of time spent scanning for opportunities. We want to cut that time down as much as possible. So AI is really, really great in tailoring those kinds of opportunities that you're seeing for your organization, your mandates, and your mission. And then really spending time on the analysis of the RFPs. So some of them can be very comprehensive. And while it's obviously extremely important to read through them and understand them and spend time with them, it's also really nice to use AI tools to consolidate them, to get everyone on the same page, to provide summaries for team members who might work on your proposals together. So using AI to really cut down the time of getting everyone on board with the requirements of the RFP and to make sure that your organization ticks all the boxes in terms of eligibility and that you can make a go, no-go decision really, really quickly utilizing these tools. And then we, as Tony-Ann mentioned as well, we write many, many proposals within our organization, and we often use AI just to structure the first draft. And this is really important to frame ideas, but what's really critical here is the prompting. And I think that was something that was mentioned, is you can adopt the use of AI, but if you're not using it as efficiently and effectively as possible, you're going to end up with something that maybe isn't, as good as you'd hoped initially. So prompting the first draft, finding ways to really make that a streamlined approach in your organization is so critical. But it does allow you to have a skeleton really quickly for the 4th point, which is really, really important here, because as I said, we've run many, many courses over the years, and more recently with the adoption of AI, we've included AI training. And we often get the question to say, but what about the personalized touch? If everybody's writing proposals using AI, then surely the donors and the funders are just going to end up with multiple AI generated proposals, and that's not going to be a great situation. And that's why point 4 here is so important, is to personalize and to really place your mandate, your mission, your organization's flair into the skeleton draft. So it always needs that human touch to really tailor the proposal that you generated for the donor and the opportunity at hand. I think it would never be possible to just generate a proposal, submit it, and hope for the best just using AI. It has to have your personalized touch and the human touch. And I think that's really crucial, a point to make. It's not just AI, it's AI helping your organization do things faster. And then I think from 5 and 6 are pretty straightforward, but to have a consistency QA checklist, again, against the RFP analysis, you could develop a checklist that allows you to check if you've covered everything that needs to be covered in that particular RFP, to make sure that everything is in line with your branding and your organization's mandate and mission, and that your voice comes through accurately and it's not AI driven, it's AI drafted, personalized with your organization's voice. And I think that's really important. And then to review a simulation, it's quite nice to test how your proposal will flare up against other proposals or against a critical review. And again, it comes down to learning the accurate prompts and what you should be putting in when you are drafting and working with various AI tools. And I think the part at the bottom, which, the hybrid rule of AI, humans contextualize, AI polishes, but humans approve it. So it's always comes down to the human element here. And I think that's really, really important to emphasize. We use the tools to make it faster, easier. We can, as Tony-Ann mentioned, we can do more and get through more quickly, but it's always down to the human element and what our organizations are really, really trying to showcase through the proposals. Thanks, Tony-Ann. If you can go to the next slide. So I mentioned a couple of the courses that we have offered in the past, and they have shifted significantly from conventional proposal writing to now AI-powered proposal writing, and we have an online course that supports this. And while we still have the foundations of proposal writing there, because the workflow that I just mentioned before still has those foundational strategic points that you have to go through when you're writing a proposal, we will still teach that framework because that is the foundation of proposal writing. But along each of those steps, we showcase how to utilize AI efficiently. And it could be various AI tools, because we know that many organizations have their own preferred tools or, are particular tools. So we try to show ways to use those tools efficiently, and maybe the benefits of multiple tools. We as an organization have worked with multiple tools in proposal writing. We've seen strengths in some, we've seen weaknesses in others. So, we really want to share some of those learnings through our courses. So we have an online training course that supports with self-paced content, but then again, much like proposal writing, we always bring in the human element. It is supplemented with live webinars where we really want to talk through some of the case studies, some of the things that are really that you might be struggling with, or that you might find really beneficial. And just looking from the poll today, there's certainly a mixed audience here of people with different levels of AI use and knowledge. And so we always find those webinars are really key to share best practices and learnings. And so we welcome you to please get in touch if this is of interest to you. Please reach out to me. My details, I think, will be on the slide deck. Tony-Ann, if you can go to the next one. Thank you. And I know this is not AI specific, but I just wanted to share that we also have a really exciting innovative finance course for NGOs coming up, a webinar series. And I think this is really interesting, given the funding landscape and the fact that, again, Tony-Ann, and we've alluded to it in all of our webinars lately, is that the funding landscape is tough. And so we're pivoting as well into proposal writing, and with a lens of innovative finance and drafting investor pitch decks and understanding that landscape. And again, the utilization of AI in all that process allows it to be more streamlined, more effective, and more efficient. And so please, if this interests you as well, feel free to reach out about this particular training as well. Thanks, Tony-Ann. I think on to the next one, which I think leaves us as Q&A.
All right, Nicole. Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Tony-Ann. So this is the Q&A part where we get to engage with our community. As always, head over to the Q&A.com and just leave your questions and we will read them. Don't put your question in the chat, get mixed up. So we have the first one. Yeah, I think this one is for you, Tony-Ann. Can you change the initial information for registering on GrantWire?
One sec. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see the question. Can you change the initial information for registering on GrantWire? Not at this time, but we are working on having, double similar emails from same participants. Yeah, so as soon as that is sorted through, I will definitely update everyone. Okay.
Nice. There's other questions to go in, and this one I think is also for you as well. So one more question for you. How can AI support community engagement in order to build proposal?
community engagement. Michael, do you mean, working with the local communities that your organization is partnering with to solve an issue? Is that what you mean? You can just send a follow-up question or follow-up answer if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, he said yes.
He said yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to community engagement and AI supporting that, I don't think AI can really support that unless it's looking at past reports or newspaper articles or past research that has to do with the particular community you're engaging with. That information comes from the work that you're doing. So this is what Nicole was mentioning when it comes to that hybrid approach. So you have to incorporate a human touch to make sure that whatever you're producing, if it's a proposal, a report, or something else, that it reflects, what's happening on the ground for that particular community. So in summary, AI can help with past, documents or research or newspaper articles regarding that community, but you would have more, contemporary and up-to-date and realistic and relevant information.
Nicole, do you want to add something to it?
Well, I think perhaps also to say just to utilize AI in synthesizing a lot of the information that you might get from community engagement and stakeholder engagement conversations. I think it's a really powerful tool to streamline that work and then build upon it, as Tony-Ann said, with the human element as well, the conversations, the focus groups, the interviews, things, things to support what the data is showing you. I think could really help to streamline things.
Yeah.
Awesome. I hope that answered your question, Nicole. Thank you to Leanne and Nicole. Benjamin, you're upstage. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, I wanted to find out the human touch. You mentioned the human voice. How do you do that? Because you first of all do the draft with AI, but how do you bring in the human touch? What is based on, let's say, your organizational preferences and all that? How do you do it so that at the end it doesn't look like the same as all AI?
Thanks, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. And we've actually had this a few times in a couple of our trainings. I think it can be different for every organization, how you bring in the human touch. I give a couple of examples of how, we try to do it. While we draft a structure using AI and there's a skeleton, every single proposal is reviewed and QA'd by people. So our team members, we take turns in supporting each other in that process. And then we bring in some mandated parts of proposal writing that's really key. And it's to showcase MZN personally for the particular opportunity. So really to say, why are we the right choice for this opportunity? Why would we be the preferred provider in this case? And that only comes with a knowledge of history and work that we've done in the past, or organizations that we've worked with in the past, or case studies that we can really showcase. And again, you can utilize AI to really pull these case studies together in the way that they need to be presented, but you need to bring in those case studies from past experience. We utilize things like personalized photos that we've taken on, trainings with permission, of course, to really showcase that we are, we have done these things on the ground. We're not just generating a stock standard proposal with stock imagery. We have evidence of things that we've done in the past, and pulling in our own sort of documentation that again might be relevant for that particular opportunity. So those are just a couple of ways that we personalize it, tailoring things like the personnel who'll be involved. Obviously, we put the strongest people forward for the opportunity, and we tailor CVs according to the opportunity. So it's not just, again, drafted and submitted. It's drafted and curated and reviewed and quality assured and personalized and then submitted. And I think that helps us to bring in that human touch a little bit more. So I'm curious if anyone has any other ways to bring in personal touch. Feel free to drop some comments in the chat. But that's certainly what we do. I hope that answered your question, Benjamin.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, Benjamin. We have another question here from it's a follow-up. This one says, how many collaborators can be on the organization's profile to see opportunities? This one's for you, Tony.
I'm guessing they mean for the sign up. All right, so it's not organization specific, it's individualized. So if you would prefer to have multiple persons on your profile, you would have to share your logging information with them. We designed the site with, the idea in mind that, there might be different persons within an organization, or maybe one person for an organization who would like to find those opportunities. So maybe it's not, identical across different teams within an organization. So that's why we have one login per person rather than organization-wide. I hope that answers your question. We're still in the design phase. We're finalizing everything. So we welcome, suggestions and input from anyone who would like to beta test again the platform, or would just like to share suggestions like in this forum right here. So if you, would like to share any input with me or would like to beta test, I will share my email address in the chat, and you can let me know if you're interested in beta testing. Okay?
All right, Tony, thank you. Cedric, just joining us, just coming off a meeting. Cedric, you're going to talk a little bit more on the accelerator, basically just announcing the close of the accelerator and any updates that the community need to know about the HP accelerator. The floor is yours. You're on mute.
You're muted.
Yes, can you hear me well now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is what happens every day on Zoom. I'm very happy to be, with you today, to share some information about the accelerator, the Human Planet Accelerator. Just to remind everyone, the objective of the accelerator is actually to support NGOs, organizations, social enterprise, non-profit, entrepreneurs, get access to funding and diversify their source of funding, specifically in the current environment, which is a bit challenging. So we did launch the accelerator earlier this month. We have received, so we have done webinars. We had many hundreds of attendees. We have received lots of proposals, very interesting proposals. We are currently selecting and running consultations for the cohort. And the deadline to actually apply will be on the 24th. So typically at the end of this week, if I'm right. So if anyone wants to apply, feel free to do so. We will share the link. The idea is really to to be able to support you, and we have several types of streams. One which is for scale up, which is for larger organizations, but we have also launched the incubator, which is more for the smaller organizations and for the entrepreneurs or the small NGOs to be able to benefit also from the program. So feel free to apply. To be transparent, there is a small fee because we have to cover the cost of the accelerator, but we will share everything in details, during the process. Thanks, Jonathan. I give you back the floor.
Thank you. All right, so now we have a couple of questions. If you have questions for Cedric considering the accelerator, please just feel free to send that in the Q&A and we can read that over to him. We have another question for you, Tony. Does AI developed proposal give you an edge in the highly competitive donor space? I think this is for you, Nicole.
I could answer after
Thanks.
you. Mhm.
Yeah, thanks, John. Look, I think AI developed proposals do give you an edge in the speed and efficiency and pace at which you can, one, get to them, two, start to draft them, and three, get them over the line and move on to the next one. So I would say yes. But as I mentioned earlier, I think it still has to have that personalized human touch. It still has to have your organization's voice, your organization's mission, your mandate. It has to be coming through to be able to give you the cutting edge. So I think it does give you an element. And I think, if you're not utilizing AI, you certainly won't be getting to everything as quickly as an organization that is utilizing AI. So the edge is already there, but it's about how you take it to the next level. And I think what Tony-Ann mentioned in her slides, which was really interesting, is how the organization can adopt the use of AI. So, it might be on the call here that those who mentioned they're utilizing AI, you might be utilizing it on a personal level to reshape your emails and to reframe some of your strategic plans. But are you really utilizing it on an organizational level to be as impactful and efficient for your organization as you possibly can? And I think that comes with a bit of strategic planning, a bit of sort of future thinking, in some cases, depending on the tools. And I think someone asked, what AI tools do we recommend? I mean, there are so many. It really depends on what you're looking for. But I think from an organizational perspective, are you sitting down and strategically choosing what is best for your organization, where you can apply these key tools and at what price point, of course, that works for you to really make the most, to support your organization to make the most out of them. So I've kind of answered two questions in one there. But Tony-Ann, I don't know if you had something additional to say there in terms of the cutting edge.
Yes, thanks, Nicole. So when it comes to giving yourself an edge, as Nicole mentioned, AI can support you in, increasing the efficiency of how you're able to get, proposals and strategic engagements with donors. But the core of what will give you that edge is what you're doing in the communities that you're working in, how you're engaging with the persons in the communities. Are you doing anything different and unique that other NGOs aren't doing? So it would come down to the more human aspect of what you're doing, how you're doing it. Is it unique? The impact you're having on the community you're working in and working with, and how you plan to navigate, the changes that may happen within that community. So it's still about what you're able to do, prove, and how unique you are. AI just helps you to, demonstrate this a little bit quicker.
Thank you, Tony and Nicole. I'm very, very keen to hear a Cedric recommendation. Cedric, which tool would you recommend for NGO to use to become more productive, AI tools?
Yeah, so we actually have a set of tools. I think I would say, first of all, because I know it's a very important topic specifically for NGOs around ethics. And so when you choose an AI tool, you need to know that the AI is actually learning from your own data. You always have an option to tell the AI that you don't want your data to be used to train. So this is just to start with. It's important specifically for NGOs. After, we have a set of tools that are very interesting, and we are learning every week actually, because it's moving so fast. I think a few ones. The one which is very kind of mind-blowing recently is the Claude Cowork. I know Microsoft Copilot is also doing something similar, but if you look at Claude Cowork, it's really the next stage, because you're not only asking the AI to give you information or to draft reports or to do things. You actually let the AI take actions and through skills. So typically, if you have a call with someone, you can connect your calendar, your Gmail, all your apps to Claude Cowork, and you can tell Claude Cowork to draft emails, to send invites, to draft reports, to send the reports, to send calendar invites, many things. Even to, I think you can even book ticket flights with Cloud Cowork. So yeah, this is very interesting. After, in terms of other tools, we are actually using also Gamma for PowerPoints. And again, Cloud Cowork for everything which is drafting proposals. The interesting thing is that you can have it in Word, you can have it in PowerPoint. So yeah, I think this is really like the one tool that we started to apply a few weeks ago, and it really changes your productivity and your efficiency. Yeah, and after, one thing also which is now best practice for us is actually the AI minute taker. When you do calls, even when you have meetings in person, now they have this small box. You have to keep review. It will record the discussion. So you need to disclose, not to record discussions that are not supposed to be recorded. But what we do, all the meetings are recorded in AI. So now, for the last few months, we actually have a knowledge of what's happening in the company or in the NGO, and you can activate this knowledge through the AI tools. Yeah, so these are really and after, there is a lot of things on social media. So I know some NGOs need to communicate. So Canva is launching an AI tool, AI agent, I think in the next 2 weeks. You can generate videos today with HeyGen. Many things can be done. Yeah, and we can share, maybe we can share a list, in the follow-up email of the webinar, the list of the tools that we use, so they can have the list and check by themselves.
Awesome, Cedric. Thank you so much. We have 2 minutes to wrap this up. Before we go, Tony and Nicole, Cedric, do you have any last word for the community, and a word of encouragement and announcement from your end that you think will be useful to our community? Nicole, you want to go first?
Thanks, John. I think the key thing here is to not fear AI, to embrace the use of it, as Cedric has given us some really, really interesting ways that we have used these tools, and over the last 2 weeks, they've shifted and changed. And I think that's the key here, is the pace at which these tools are changing and developing and improving is incredible. And so don't be fearful of utilizing them, exploring them. If you'd like to reach out to us to kind of sense check from an NGO perspective, as Cedric mentioned, an ethical perspective, the use of it within your organizations, we're happy to have a conversation and to support you in any way that we can. If you feel like it's an organizational strategy to adopt these and you need some support in that change management approach, again, we're here. We've seen those shifts, we've done them ourselves in our organization. So don't fear it, embrace it, and we're here to support if you need us to. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Nicole. Tony?
I think I'd like to say that I understand that things seem a little crazy right now. Things are changing a lot, whether it's within the sector, funding mechanisms, AI use, all the things that impact how you go about doing your work. I would just like to impart on you that the core of everything that's going on still rests on, the level of and the quality of work you're delivering to the communities and the people you interact with, how you engage with your partners. Those things won't change. As Nicole mentioned, we're here to help. If there's anything that you would like support on, whether it's the tools to use for, or for your organization as it comes to AI, maybe it's about, using Grantwire, whatever the case may be, we're here to help you. But please remember that the core of everything is still the work you do and the people you work with and serve. Thanks, John.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony. Over to you, Cedric, before we wrap this up, and the last word for the community.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I would say I saw a few messages in the chat. So the list of the tools, definitely we will share it. They are very, very interesting tools. It's very mind blowing. So we'll do it. We also have actually a playbook in-house, it's a playbook in-house, within the team. So we can maybe tailor a bit and share the playbook, which is like the best practice with the everyone who is attending the webinar. And I will share everything in the email to everyone. And also I would recommend to use Grantwire as well. Really, we did it really for the community. There are a lot of kind of paid service today, which are really from the old world. And today with AI, you can actually get the same level of information. So I would recommend that everyone can use it. And they really don't see a lot of opportunities through this tool. We will also improve the tools, when we get feedback. So very excited to see what we can do in the space. Also here for everyone.
Thank you so much, Cedric, and thank you so much, Nicole and Tony. A huge thank you to our community for being on this call, for always supporting, always engaging in all of our webinars. Again, we couldn't have done this without you being here today. As Cedric mentioned to you, we'll make sure we send all of the resources in your email. Please watch that within 48 hours. We'll have that sent to you. And if you have not followed us on social media, please do so. And if you're not subscribed to our newsletter yet, please do so you can have real-time updates on information and on free resources that we provide to our community. I want to say thank you so much for joining us, and do have yourself a pleasant evening wherever you are. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.